fallen end hive. Let's hope we can avoid the crossfire.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo, and I'm here today with something that is very near and dear to my heart, Destiny. Now, for me, Destiny is more than just Bungie's next game. When I talk about Bungie games in general, it's sort of my video game childhood. Now, don't get me wrong, I grew up with Super Mario Bros. And all those games way before that, but my first true introduction to what a shooter was the original Halo. It was my first sort of indulgence into an entire world, an entire universe. You know, it went beyond just the Halo video games. It went into the books, which I've read just about all of them, and this infatuation with everything to do with the universe that Bungie had created. And of course, with Destiny, they're trying to do that same sort of thing all over again, except of course in a very, very different manner. They're trying to build something completely new, but it still is trying to be, you know, something special. It's trying to create its own unique world. And I'm just, oh man, it's so hard to try and be critical and actually critique and talk about Destiny, because it's something that has just been, it's a love affair for me. Without even having played the game, anything Bungie is like a love affair to me. And when I think of Bungie, it brings me back to, you know, the idea of playing games that are games that are finished. You know, everything that Bungie's ever done is so far away from what we come to expect from games now, and I think that carries into the Destiny alpha that I've been playing over the last couple of days, because it's an alpha. They call it an alpha, and it's most definitely not what I would ever call an alpha these days. I mean, the game has fewer bugs and fewer issues than something like Battlefield 4. Now, I feel terrible using Battlefield 4 as a reference point for that, but it's just a prime example of a game that obviously didn't have the development time or the polish. And when we go back to things like Halo 2 and Halo 3 and Halo Reach even, these were games that launched with like zero issues. You know, I remember playing all of those games day one with almost no server issues, no client-side hit detection issues, very few bugs to be found. I mean, you really had to dig for them. And that is just a Bungie game. That is what Bungie does. They are very, very good at making video games. And I always found it sad when there were people who couldn't enjoy Halo, you know, even just the single-player component of it, because to me there's just this extreme sense of passion behind everything that Bungie does. Now, this may just sound like a massive fanboy, you know, rant, but it's really not. I mean, when you look at their work, the team has just obviously thrown everything they have into their games, and it's really present inside of the Destiny Alpha. Now, I could go on and on and on for hours about my passion, my love for Bungie games, and you know, how excited I was for Destiny, but what I wanted to do instead was sort of break things down, and I wanted to start with this introduction video, which is just going to lead into this strike mission that you guys are seeing here. So what strike missions are is they're sort of dungeons, I guess you could say, in the world of Destiny. You can run them with 3 players, which is sort of your small little fire team here, and they're essentially, you go into an area with the main premise being, okay, we need to get to the lair of this guy. At least that was the case inside of this strike mission, and eliminate, you know, the boss, the sort of raid boss, I guess you could say, or the dungeon boss. Now, one of the things that I've always praised Bungie games for, mostly Halo, is that they managed to be a first-person shooter in this that has a single-player story that is actually difficult. When you look at Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, even Reach, they're games that can be very, very difficult in their single player form, even without, you know, boosting all the skulls and modifiers that Bungie is so well known for having in their Halo games, which modifiers for these dungeons actually take place here. We have normal and heroic mode, or heroic, and we have legendary, I believe they're called, that actually decrease the amount of effectiveness of your weapons and your armor, which I was like, yes, that's what I want. You know, we want to be able to replay these things and make them harder every time we go through, and I do believe it actually increases the reward. But Halo games have always been very good at creating really good combat scenarios, and that seems to carry over inside of Destiny. The strike missions are a complete joy to play. Most of the time, developers will throw in these sort of wave-based defense things that you're seeing here, but the way that they introduce enemies into the area and the types of enemies really can make or break the situation. And Destiny seems to have nailed that balance, because it was always on edge, you know? I felt like I could have went for wave after wave after wave with actually, you know, before getting bored of what was actually happening. It was just so intense. It was so on edge. I was just, you know, you had to be thinking constantly, where am I positioning myself? What is going to do damage to me? What can I do damage to currently? It was just this nonstop back and forth. And it requires that sort of silent communication between your team. You know, yes, you need to speak out, but sometimes you just have to know where the other person is. You have to know what's going on. You have to be aware. And that is what makes for really good first-person shooter combat in a PvE setting. and I think Destiny has already sort of blown me away. Now, all these are alpha. This is all my alpha, thoughts. So let's make that clear. The game isn't finished. Things could change. Maybe Destiny can end up being terrible, but I highly doubt that. I'm going to go ahead and say that I think Destiny is going to be one of my favorite games of the year. I'm not going to try and hype it up because it's probably not something that I should do when I'm trying to critique a game, but, just very, very impressed with the strike missions, and they just continue on, and they get harder as you go through the mission, and there's just so much depth to the combat. I just couldn't get over how much fun I was having, again, in a first-person PvE shooter, It's epic. It just feels so damn good. So what I want to do is leave you guys with the rest of the strike mission. I'm just going to let you watch it without me blabbing on anymore. And I'm going to spend the rest of the weekend playing some more Destiny. I'm going to come back. I'm going to show you guys the social aspects of Destiny. Talk a little bit more about the multiplayer and how they're fusing together this sort of large world. And then we'll actually take a look at the PvP component, the Crucible. Because there's just... for the small amount of content that's in the alpha that we're going to be able to play this weekend, there's actually a lot there. There's a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss, and a lot of thoughts that I have on what I've been playing. I hope you guys enjoyed the strike mission. I'll see you in the next one.
Barrier is down. We can move now. The lair is up ahead, under that colony ship, just on the other side of all those devils. So this is the Devil's Lair. certainly sent the right team to handle this one.
Sepix Prime cast a great shadow over our city. With its destruction, the fallen devils will grow weaker. But we must stay vigilant. The fallen are crafty, and they'll find ways to survive. They always do.